You are listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
File access granted.
Hello, all you believers, idealists, skeptics, and all those who question the universe around them. My name is Bailey.
And I'm Ty.
And welcome to today's episode of Cult Talk's Conspiracy.
Oh, yeah. We're coming out with part 2 of Bailey's file 0010.
I know,
where she did dimensions.
My little trilogy that I didn't name. I'm sure that's driving everybody nuts. I don't, guys, if you haven't figured it out by now, I don't name things. Ty is like the guru of creativity. So like, he is like,
everything's got to be on a t-shirt. That's
it really does. It really does. And it works out perfectly. It's beautiful. Yeah. I just show up, y'all. Like, don't, I do research and I show up. But today we're talking about parallel universes. And I have been so excited for this episode because parallel universes is something that interests me a lot. Because there's a whole lot of science around this. And not only is there a lot of science about it, there's a whole lot of like, I don't want to call it fan fiction, but that's what comes to mind as far as like Star Trek and you know, because
right now parallel universes are like really hot in pop culture right now with the Marvel universe, the way they're spinning the multiverse.
Oh yes.
It's pretty interesting the way this is like all of a sudden become this really popular thing, which I think it's always been very popular, but now it's just part of the culture. Just these multiverses.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like my 8-year-old niece is now going to know what a parallel universe is, and I'm going to go talk with her about this in large depth. We'll see how well that goes with an 8-year-old. We'll see. But I'm excited. I'm excited for today. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning of the universe, and we're going to talk about some theories. We're going to talk about stars. We're going to talk about galaxies. We're going to be introduced to this thing called neutrinos, and yeah, we're going to go from there. So
interesting. Now, this is like we said, this is a sequel of sorts to Dimensions. So you should go back and listen to file 010 if you haven't already for Dimensions. And following this here in another month, we're going to have part 3 where we're going to do a parallel universe encounters. Is that what we're planning?
Yeah. Like I keep referring to it as glitches in the matrix in my head because that is like the number one thing that comes up when like you experience like a parallel universe or you've experienced, you know, seeing into some sort of dimension, as people refer to it as this glitch in the matrix. So we did a beta episode on a glitch in the matrix, which was so much fun. I loved that episode, and I've definitely been getting those vibes here through doing the Dimensions and the Parallel Universe trilogy. So that's what we're going to be talking about on this third segment, is the encounters where people have, you know, seen these mirror universes or maybe even gotten into a different dimension.
Interesting.
Very excited.
So that'll be part 3, and that'll be here in like another month. We'll have that. So keep an eye out for that. Wrap up this series that Bailey's put on for us. But I don't know. Are you ready to get into it here the part 2 of this?
I am ready. I'm ready to unseal this file.
All right.
So without further ado, let us do just that and unseal file 012, Parallel Universes. So what is a parallel universe? So by definition, it is a hypothetical, self-contained plane of existence coexisting with one's own, also called parallel dimensions, alternate universe, and alternate realities. And the sum of all those are called the multiverse. It's a lot of names. For my sanity's sake, we're just going to call it parallel universe. So
okay, so the parallel universe here on out. Just
the parallel universe. So we're going to start with the Big Bang and how our universe began. So according to the Big Bang Theory, around 13.7 or 13.8 billion years ago, everything was super tiny. It was actually referred to in some of my research. I saw it be referred to as a speck of space, which I thought was really a tiny speck of space. I'm sorry. So it was super small and super singular. And it was a point of infinite denseness and heat. And during that time, a period of cosmic inflation, which only lasted a fraction of a second. So I think it was 32 tenths of a second, actually.
It just sparked and boom.
Boom. Big old explosion. And there is our galaxy and our universe.
Wild.
So it pushed our universe outwards. And the result of the inflation was a lot of reheating and pouring out of matter and radiation. It actually expanded our universe to... Our universe is actually estimated to be about 7 billion light years in diameter. So
wow.
Light years. It's huge. So this would actually, after this outpouring of matter and radiation, this would give birth to particles, atoms, hydrogen, and heliums. And this was the actual bang of what happened in the Big Bang. Because of the intensely hot temperatures, it was actually around 10 billion Fahrenheit is what scientists have estimated. These would create the building blocks of life in our universe, the neutrons, electrons, and protons, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So remember that this Big Bang created neutrons, protons, and electrons. It's going to be very important later. So by the time the explosion had ended, our universe had grown exponentially. Like I said, it got all the way up to 7 billion light years. Let me make sure I'm quoting that correctly. Yes.
A light year, I just looked up because I was curious. A light year is 5.88 trillion miles.
Jesus.
Is what 1 light year equals out to.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Do we even have that much? I would imagine we had that much land on the Earth. I would imagine.
No.
No?
I don't think so. I don't know. Let's see what the size of the Earth. How big is
how much land
Earth?
is on Earth?
I doubt the Earth is a light year. A light year is.
I feel
there's
like
no way.
I don't know.
A trillion is a huge number. I don't think you realize.
I thought you said billion, not trillion. I'm sorry. Okay,
yeah.
then
even that. I mean, so the Earth is 3,958.8 miles in radius.
Okay.
So not even close.
No,
not even close.
No, we're not even a fraction of that.
Yeah, the Earth is about, circumference is about 25,000 miles.
Wow. Oh man, I love.
So yeah, not even close.
I love this stuff. It's so big. It's so big. Like, oh my gosh. Like, this is okay. Mini rant for a second. This is why I believe like we cannot be the only sustainable life out there because our universe is just so big. You're telling me that we're going to have 7 billion light years worth of space in our universe and we're the only thing that's living here? Get out of here. No.
Oh, yeah. No possible way.
None.
There's no possible way we're the only life out there, especially not the only intelligent life out there.
God, no. No. So fun fact, actually, that I thought was really cool when I was researching was our universe actually did not start producing light until 380,000 years after the Big Bang. So for about 380,000 years after the initial start of the Big Bang, our universe wasn't producing its own light. So over time, electrons met with the nuclei that would create either neutral atoms or atoms with a positive or negative electric charge. And this would later be called the afterglow of the Big Bang, which I always thought was really funny. Well, I thought that was really funny because I'm a big Golden Girls fan. And there's one episode where Dorothy walks in on Sophia after she has got done doing the dirty. And she's sitting in bed with her gentleman friend that she's had a great time with. And Dorothy goes, "Ma, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Afterglow." And it was like the afterglow of sex. So that's what came into my mind. That's what happens in my mind, guys. So now we're going to start getting into the fun stuff. And that is, how can inflation of the universe cause a multiverse? So,
and inflation of the universe is, what's the
inflation of the universe? That was that cosmic inflation that caused the Big Bang. That was the explosion that ended up happening.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about the theory of eternal inflation, which states that once inflation has started, it never actually completes. It never completely stops. And Alan Guth, who has been named one of the fathers of cosmic inflation theory, says that so it ends in places, but not altogether. And what happens is once one universe ends and another one begins, those are called either pocket or bubble universes. I refer to them as bubble universes because I think it's cute. And what those bubble universes will do is they will produce habitable conditions repeatedly inside each other. So there are, and we're going to refer to this a little bit, there are the constants of life, which are the things, the particles that you need in order to form life. These are your protons, your neutrons, your atoms, your electrons. And in all of these pockets, they have the constants of life. Which is very, very interesting. And we're gonna talk about this here in a minute because it's almost like our pocket is fine-tuned for us humans to be able to live in.
Okay, interesting.
Yes. So these pockets will vary in sizes. One could be as big as ours or one could be smaller than ours. And not everything that exists in one pocket will exist in another. Now, that could be anything from technology to people to buildings to language, anything. It could even be, it can't be one of the constants of life because we have to have those. However, there might be, I might mix theories a little bit here and say that there might even be able to be like a flip of charges with protons and neutrons, because neutrons are neutral charges and protons are positive charges. And when they mix with the nuclei, they're able to bond to atoms. So,
okay, interesting.
And that's just me mixing theories right there.
Alan didn't say that.
Alan didn't say that, but I'm thinking. I don't know.
You might be onto something.
I might be. I don't know. My dad's a physicist. We might call him and be like, "Hey, Dad. Hey, Papa Moses."
If you have him cooperate on that, you might be onto something.
I might be able to retire. I might actually be able to retire. So this is a never-ending process because these pockets just keep forming and keep growing, and there is always some form of, quote, exotic repulsive gravity material. So it just keeps reproducing.
Okay.
And it has gravity in it as well. It actually has a gravitational wave and a gravitational pull in it as well. So there are things that are latching things onto the ground and are, actually... Oh, I'm going to get ahead of myself. I'm so excited. There are gravitational waves. And these gravitational waves are, they've been there since the beginning of time. They're actually called primordial gravitational waves.
Primordial?
Primordial. Thank you. I love him.
Got it.
Got it.
Always up to jump in and mansplain when I can.
It's fine. It's fine. I love it. It's okay. Really, he's doing it so that I don't sound stupid, guys. He's helping a sister out. So anyway, these pockets, they can inflate forever. They can just keep growing and growing and growing forever. And it's hypothesized is the word. Hypothesized that these bubbles can die. They will run out of energy and cool down, and they'll actually become radioactive decay in the atom. We, of course, haven't seen this happen within our own universe, because if we had, we might not be talking about it. I would imagine not. So it's hypothesized. However, due to the nature of inflation and due to the fact that once it starts, it never completely stops, it's actually kind of beautiful because due to the internal inflation theory, life will always go on. Or as Jeff Goldblum says, life will find a way. Eric's going to be so happy. So the inflation is never ending, like the current U.S. economy. Listen, y'all. Okay. So this is actually really similar to what's called the many worlds interpretation. And the many worlds interpretation states that there are many worlds which exist in parallel at the same space and time as our own. Do you remember, you brought it up in the Dimensions video, this like city in the sky?
Yes. That was over China.
I think that might be a many worlds encounter. I really do. Because it's existing in the same, literal same space and time as we are. And what's interesting about that is...
Let's see if I had my my notebooks. That was from Bluebeam.
Yeah.
Where I brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see if I had my notebook, see what that was called. Yeah, it was called something. I remember they made up some kind of phenomena that it was supposed to be that no one's ever seen before. And just so happened to have been witnessed that one day.
They referenced it was like a reflection, right? Or am I making that up?
There was some sort of advanced optical mirage, they called it, that's able to look three-dimensional. It was like one of those things like that's not a thing. It's something you're making up.
Yeah.
Try to explain it.
No, sir. No, sir. So that's what I think that might be, is we might have been able to see one of the many worlds, which is really interesting because we've never, like physicists and scientists, and other scientists, I should say, have never been able to give us concrete evidence of a parallel universe or of, a twin universe or a mirror universe. So if that were to actually be evident of a mirror universe, that would be groundbreaking. And then it would cause into question, well, is internal inflation at play here? Is many worlds at play here? Is the CPT symmetry in play here, which we're going to talk about here in a second? Is string theory in play here? Which string theory's a trip, man.
Yeah, that's a wild one.
String theory's a whole trip. So anyway, back to these bubbles. So these bubbles are not able to contact one another, which is why that video is so interesting, and also why we've never been able to get proof. Because even when these bubbles meet at the edge of each bubble, they still keep going. So like you could go all the way to the edge of our universe and you would truly never reach the end, because by the time you got to the suspected end, the end has already moved, according to eternal inflation theory, because it's constantly growing.
So now you talk about this inflation. You're talking about like it. You say it never stops growing. You mean is the universe continuing to expand?
Oh,
is that what you're?
Oh yeah.
Wow. So it hasn't stopped.
No, never. No, it's still growing past that 7 billion light years that we estimate it to be.
Wow.
Yeah. Which, I mean, also, when you're talking about the space-time continuum, it can do whatever the fuck it wants. It's the space-time continuum. Yeah, it could do whatever it wants. It's fine. Like, we don't know what's out there. I always find it interesting that we know more about our own about space and still question stuff like this and yet we know less about our ocean system than what we do space.
That is wild. That's such a cliche thing to say sometimes, but it's like it's fascinating. So it's such a cliche thing to be like, we know more about the outer space than we do our ocean, but it is a crazy fact. It's a crazy thing to think about, that we know more about what's out there than we do about what's on our own planet.
You know what I think? I have a theory behind that, just as a side note. I think that the sea gods decided that we were not allowed there.
Sea gods?
I'm serious. Okay. I don't know what sea creatures are out there. I don't know if it's Cthulhu. I don't know if it's Godzilla. I don't know what it is. But I'm telling you, and it was what is this movie? I wish Ben were here. It was the movie that Kristen Stewart was just in.
Underwater.
Underwater. Thank you so much.
Yep.
There is a line in there where one of the characters says, "We took too much, and now the Earth or whatever decided it's taking back." And I'm like, that's a thing, because we do a lot. We cut a lot of trees down. So
that was a good movie, but man, fucking lighting. You need lighting in a movie. I couldn't see shit. I went to see it in theaters. I went and watched it in theaters. Same problem. Couldn't see shit in that movie.
Oh man,
I like that movie so much, but it's like you literally can't see anything happening. It's such a bummer, because I really did like that movie, and the big twist, the end of it being Cthulhu the whole time.
I know.
Spoiler. I guess I should give you a spoiler.
Big spoiler. I had to go back. I had to go back and watch it a second time in order to properly see Cthulhu.
Yeah,
that's like a reveal. That's a big deal.
Yeah, there's points in that movie where it's like you're so confused because you don't know what the fuck is going on in it. But that's my little tangent about that movie. That movie really irked me in the wrong ways. I liked it. I wanted it to be good. It was good, but I couldn't see shit. That pissed me off. But
I don't know.
On to the parallel universe. Maybe there's a parallel universe where it's actually you could see things in that movie.
We're getting there. So now we're going to talk a little bit. I dove a little bit into many worlds theory to kind of help wrap up eternal inflation theory. At this point, I'm going to let you guys know we're going to go back and forth between many worlds and eternal inflation theory because they really play hand in hand together independently.
Buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up, guys. There's going to be a lot thrown at you. And the researchers that I am about to mention, they do not use these terms interchangeably, but I will be sure to let you guys know what we are talking about and be specific on that because of the researchers. Here we go. So many worlds theory. So this is a part of quantum mechanics. I know we love quantum mechanics over here, y'all. I am doing such a nice, easy episode after this. I'm like, I don't even know what it's going to be yet. It's just going to be easy and it's not going to involve physics. So this is a part of quantum mechanics that when one state or outcome, etc., is observed, there is another world where a different quantum outcome, which A affects B, affects C, yada, yada. That's quantum outcome. Quantum outcome then becomes that reality. So if you didn't understand that word salad, basically, there is a world for every outcome that is out there. For every thing that A does, there's going to be a world for how it affects B, how it affects C, how it affects D. So there's 4 worlds. There's not just one. In the first world, you get from A to B just fine. The second world, you're going from A, B, and C. And, you know, you're just like, there's 4 different worlds for 4 different decisions. I think is the best way I can put that. And this happens second by second. And it creates near infinite alternatives. And we say near infinite because there's still that aspect of, you know, the 50-50 chance of it can go this way or it can go one way. So that's when probability comes into play. And the biggest thorn in my side about all of this is the fact that quantum mechanics and most of physics is based off of probability. So the more probability you have, the more outcomes you have. The less probability that you have, the less outcomes that you're going to have. And it just depends. It just really depends on situation and outcome and all that. And I don't know how my dad does this, to be honest with you. I really don't. I need to thank him. And not only that, but all of these worlds are actually unaware of the other. So not only are you unaware of the other...
Makes sense.
Yeah, not only are you unaware of the other, but it also doesn't affect any of your decisions in the current world that you were in.
Okay. I mean, honestly, how would you cope knowing there's a universe coexisting next to you? That's I wouldn't even know how you would even comprehend that or cope or just be. It'd be. I don't know how to properly articulate it. It'd just be a wild thought to have. Like,
I don't know. It'd be really weird. And for me, that is when the argument of the soul comes in. Because Ben actually just said this to me earlier. And I was like, wait a minute. You opened up my mind a little bit there, sir. So, because I was telling him, I was like, you know, it all kind of seems kind of pointless. Because it's like, I have me in this universe, but there's a me in another universe that has already, you know, figured this crap out and is doing just fine right now. And then he's like, well, then you have to counter in the aspects of the soul. Like, do you believe in a soul? Because every soul is different. So would my parallel universe self still have the same soul as I?
Ooh.
These are questions.
Interesting thought experiments from this.
This is this is why I love this. Oh my gosh.
Of course.
I love it so much. So now we're going to talk about my dude, Alexander Velikin, who is a physicist, director of the Institute of Cosmology at Tufts University, and is also the Leonard James Holmes Bernstein Professor of Evolutionary Science. And he also developed the eternal inflation theory alongside of Alan Guth. Big smart man. Big smart man. And he actually explained in a really, really, really good way. And when I say really, really good way, it means I understood it. About how string theory plays a role in the multiverse. What is string theory? String theory is theoretical physics. It's an idea which reality is made up of infinite vibrating strings. They're so small, they're actually smaller than atoms. And these strings vibrate, twist, and fold, and they produce all sorts of different dimensions was the definition word. I didn't want to change it. And it does this on a wide range of things. So, guys, like it does this, like you could be thinking about like, I want to turn, like when you're asleep and you're like, I want to turn on my left side, but I'm not going to because I'm so comfy here. There is a vibration for you not turning on your left side. Or not turn, or, you know, like it's just the smallest things like that. And this is important because string theory allows for quite a lot of bubble universes within different physical properties, while the constants of life take on some sort of different value in each different bubble. This plus the inflation theory, each bubble then has the probability to grow in the inflating space. So we get an infinite number of pockets or bubbles, if you will, of all possible different types.
Very interesting. Okay.
So when you bring theories...
I think I grasp that. I think I'm grasping that.
What do you have questions about? Let's answer the question.
It's very complex, but I think I get the gist of it. But I think I understand about as much as I'm going to understand about that with my mental capacity.
That's kind of how I felt after all this. I was like, this is all that I got. This is my brain tapped out. It was like, we're done. But I mean, string theory is really interesting because I've heard my dad talk about string theory before. In fact, I actually called him and we talked a little bit about it before this podcast. And
nice.
What's interesting is when you think about a string, you think about one just going on top of one another. You kind of think about it like sewing or I don't crochet. This might be or quilting. We'll say quilting. I know how to quilt. You know, these strings hold these things together. They go on top of one another. They sew into different, into different things and make up different things. But when you put it on a scale where these strings are now vibrating and they're smaller than atoms and they're starting to fold and twist and do all of these things because of the different directions and the different decisions we are making in our life, or even the different gravitational pulls that are happening. And when they fold and they twist and they, do all of these weird things as they're vibrating, that creates a different dimension. So you pair that with inflation theory, where that different dimension is constantly growing. It really raises the question of what would that dimension be capable of if we just let it twist and turn at free will?
Yeah, very interesting.
I went on a little bit of a mind bend there. I'm sorry. I was in it.
By all means, so all great.
Because there could be
what we're here for.
There could be time travel in a different dimension that we don't even know about. Like,
we are here, of course, to hashtag question everything. So keep it up.
Question. So lots of evidence points towards eternal inflation theory, especially when you pair it with string theory. And all of this is observational evidence, which is always the most important evidence you can have. If you can see it, if you can, determine it, if you can point down the probability of it, which the physicists love, it's a thing. So how did they see this? It shows galaxies moving away from us at rapid speeds, which would mean our universe is in fact expanding. So they're able to look at other galaxies, see that they are moving away from us or toward us, depending on their orientation, And they're able to see, like, okay, there is nothing other than gravity that could be pulling that thing. So how is it that we are able to get closer or get further away? Well, it has to be because of inflation theory. It has to be because the universe is doing it itself, because we're not doing anything.
Right. Okay.
That we know of. I don't know. The government always has secrets. I don't know. As far as we know, we're not doing anything.
Do you think the government knows about parallel universes?
Fuck yes. Fuck yes.
I don't know. I don't know if they even. I don't know.
I think they would know.
I bet they're trying to. Have you ever seen The Mist?
Yes.
Yeah, that's like the plot of it. Is they break into a parallel universe and that they crack open a hole.
We're talking about Stephen King's It, right? Or
yeah,
Mist.
The Mist. Yeah, The Mist. Yeah, that's cool. The plot of it is Project Arrowhead, which is like the military base. They do some kind of experiment and they actually crack into a parallel universe that's inhabited by monsters in this fog, and that's what causes all this stuff to come spewing over as they fuck it up. Which,
it was super Lovecraftian.
Oh, for real? Yeah,
I was very impressed by it. I remember it having the saddest ending I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah,
Old Yeller ain't got nothing.
The movie's great.
The movie's fabulous.
That fucking TV show is god awful. If anyone wants to waste their time on that, I'd advise against it. But
I think you warned me.
The movie is great.
I think you warned me pretty early about that one.
Oh yeah, that one's awful.
He was scorned by the Mist TV show.
I watched, I think, the first 3 episodes and I gave up on it.
Oh no!
Yeah, tapped out. They take out. There's no monsters in it.
Oh no!
Yeah, there's no monsters. The Mist is just a
mist?
Mind-altering thing. Yeah, it makes people like hallucinate. Like people are trying to kill them or make you paranoid. It's stupid. I
don't like that. I like the monsters better. The monsters were nice. Well, I mean, the monsters weren't nice, but like they were nice to see.
No.
So The Mist is a fantastic movie. I love that movie. We might watch that tonight after this. Oh, now we're going to talk about false vacuums. Okay, here we go. So our universe actually exists inside a false vacuum, which false vacuums are unstable and they can decay into something new one day. Hopefully one day, we think. So this would actually happen so fast. Like our universe would end up going through a state of transition where it's getting ready to decay in this false vacuum so quickly, we would be unaware of this transitional state until it was actually happening.
You're talking about the universe is like you mean by false vacuum. So you're talking about the universe be decaying and we have no idea that's happening around us until it was done.
Right.
Until it happened.
Because this false vacuum is like making it to where it's pulling us like into this decay, and it's very, very unstable as well. And it happens so quickly, we're unaware that it is happening or, it's going to happen until we're already in that transitional state or near the end of it, I should say. So how do physicists look for, these, false vacuums and if, we're actually in a state of inflation? Well, not if we're in a state of inflation, I shouldn't say. I should say if we are, in fact, in the internal inflation theory or state. Yeah, that makes sense. Someone's going to make sense of that word salad. So what they do is they use these rare bubble collisions. So universes, from time to time, will actually collide with one another as they inflate and they double in size. And these bubbles will collide and inflate a number of times. But there will be no evidence within our horizon what we're able to see. So we have to look at outside universes for this test. So we have to look at our galaxy system. There's a lot of hypothesis that is around this research as well, because like I said, our scientists have never been able to actually confirm whether or not we are living in a parallel mirror, eternal inflation, whatever.
So they're not as optimistic about this as they are dimensions, which dimensions is pretty much scientific.
Yeah.
Fact, right? Okay.
Yeah, this isn't as concrete as dimensions because we're talking about something existing within the same space and time that we are currently existing. Not only that, we're talking about possibly a twin copy of our universe as well, which we'll get into more detail in that here in a moment. But yeah, so they test this by trying to look at bubbles that have collided with one another so many times, and they're hypothesizing about this a lot of the time. So if we are to accept the eternal inflation theory, this would mean a lot of things. This would mean an infinite number of regions, while we would have an infinite number of regions while having a finite number of states. So we'd have a lot of universes, but like we'd have an unmeasurable amount of universes while having a measurable amounts of states those universes are in. So what can sustain life, basically?
Okay.
Maybe not what can sustain life, but what... how do I want to put that? How are the particles measured is how I'm going to put that, instead of how can we sustain life. How are the particles measured? And what charges are those particles as well? Because there are universes where the particles could actually flip charges. So our neutrons then become positive charges instead of neutral, and our protons then become neutral charges instead of positive.
Interesting.
Yes. I felt like I was going back to science class. So also, if we were to accept eternal inflation theory, we would also be accepting that there are infinite numbers of yourself doing what you are doing right now in just a whole bunch of other universes doing what you're doing. You know, like how crazy is that? When
multiple times over is what you're saying?
Yeah. It's just you, like multiple times over. Could be making different decisions. Could be like a slight difference to you, because like I said, those particles could be different. But really, it points to like, and this was my first thought when I had this, when I found this research was, wow, we're really not that special. If this is true, like we're not one of a kind. I'm sorry, you're not a beautiful little snowflake like you thought you were. But it's just crazy. It's crazy to think that if our universe is continuously expanding, we're not only having to accept that is growing without our control in a way that we can't measure because it's happening so fast and at such a rapid rate. But also, you're now dealing with the fact that there are infinite numbers of yourself. How crazy. How nuts. Wow. I really want to know what you guys think about that soul argument that I brought up a few moments ago about if, there are infinite numbers and infinite copies of ourselves. Do we all share the same soul? Would it be like past? What if that's our past lives? Like, do you know how like people like they get like past life readings and
you're right. Yep.
Like deja vu and stuff like that. I wonder if that's where that spawns from, is like our multiple versions of ourselves in different universes.
That's interesting. That's an interesting concept. Yeah. I could see that.
I'm thinking on this now.
Come to all kinds of new theories on this.
I love parallel universe theory. Oh my God. So this is where I get really excited, because now we're going to start talking about the elements of what makes up existence. So there's about 30 numbers that make up the existence. And that make up, our existence. And these numbers, like I said a little bit earlier, seem to be fine-tuned for us to live here. According to Alexander Villikin. Here's what I did. My notebook's a mess, guys. Like, I literally will tape pages into my notebook so that I don't have to rewrite. Well, I accidentally taped one of my pages in backwards. Oh. So I'm like, where did 5.8 go? It was on the back, aka the front. Okay. So these numbers seem to be fine-tuned to us. So we are made up of neutrons, protons, electrons, atoms, etc. So neutrons have no charge. They're neutral. They're the state they're currently in the state they're currently in. I'm sorry. So these are heavy particles, and they're made stable in the nuclei with the protons, which is a lighter element. So you have to pair a neutron, which is heavier, with a proton, which is lighter, and they live happily in the nuclei. Following?
Yep.
Cool.
I'm following with you.
So, the positive charges are in the protons, and those keep the electrons bonded to the atoms, which is how we get us, and that is how the chemistry works on that. Very simple, cut and dry. So, if the neutrons were to become lighter, making the protons the heavier element of the two. So, the nucleus and its electric charge, the nucleus doesn't survive. It goes away. If the proton becomes heavier than the neutron, instead of vice versa, the nucleus doesn't survive. The electric charge and the electrons fly away, and there is no chemistry there, and there's no atoms in this universe there. But, and this is where it gets very interesting, and we're talking about in a degree of 1%. If anything were to change one way or the other in 1%, atoms would not be able to exist here.
Insane.
Right. But if you were to increase the weight of the neutrons, making them heavier, it would then decay inside the nucleus, which would only allow for one proton and one electron to exist in the nucleus, which would then make hydrogen.
Okay.
So you either get a world where you have no atoms in this universe, so you're not able to make anything, or you get a world where you're only able to get hydrogen. Or you have what we have, where everything is fine-tuned and that neutron is the heavier neutral charge, that proton is the lighter positive charge. They meet in the nuclei. They have a beautiful, happy family called Earth, and it's amazing. Family story of Earth. You ready to talk about the anti-universe?
Let's hear about the anti-universe. Let's hear about the anti-universe.
The anti-universe.
Yeah, let's hear about that.
Oh, man. I was almost getting ready to be cheeky. I was about like, let's all find the Antichrist, allegory here. Find it if you want. I don't think there is one. There might be. I don't know. Anyway, the anti-universe is AKA nicknamed our twin universe.
Okay.
So this actually runs backward in time prior to the Big Bang. So we're caught up here in the future. This is us here. You can't see my hand, guys, but I promise it's on the right side. Our universe is on the right side. Audio podcast. Love you all. Our universe is over here on the right side in the future. Our twin universe is all the way over here on the left side, still hanging out in the Big Bang Theory. All the way back.
Wow.
All the way back 13.8 billion years ago is where that one lives. So, and this actually is the theory that the universe was so uniform that time runs symmetrically backwards and forwards. So we have our universe where time runs forward, and then we have our twin universe where time runs backward.
Okay.
How crazy is that to think about? Like the end of time is literally their beginning.
Yeah, that's wow. See, I was thinking when you talk about anti-universe, I thought it was gonna be like the exact same universe, but opposite. Like you see in like too. DC universe or like in Futurama. Like that's what I was thinking.
That's honestly what I thought too. And then I started, and that's what actually led me to that article. So, good job, Space. I think it was space.com. It was either space.com or Scientific American that I found that in. I love Scientific American. Okay. Oh, I love Scientific American. My dad's going to be so proud. He's going to be like, you read the Scientific American? Yes, Daddy.
Oh.
Anyway, back to the point. This would mean that we have a lot less questions about space, but it would add the concept of neutrinos. Or neutrino. So, okay. And this is a subatomic particle created in a wide variety of nuclear processes. And these are very, very, very difficult to find. So these things are so small. They're subatomic atoms. So they're smaller than an atom. And they move extremely quick. The reference that I saw or that I read in this was like a neutrino is pretty much running through your body at this current time, but you are unable to feel it because it is like light coming through a transparent window.
Okay. Interesting.
So these neutrino only interact with gravity and the weak force. And I questioned if that was a rejected Jedi. So I had to go find out. That one Jedi that was like, the force is too weak within me. So the weak force is actually responsible for radioactive decay from atoms. So that, false vacuum that comes out, the decay and all that happens, that's where that weak force is. So many of these neutrino were actually created just seconds after the Big Bang. Because, we had that outpour of matter and radiation and all the particles that became made. Neutrino were also a part of that. So new neutrino are actually created now in the hearts of stars. How beautiful. Like actual stars in the sky. Accelerators and atomic reactors on Earth. And when radioactive elements decay. Weak force.
Interesting. Okay.
So that I found that really cool. Did you ever have a star named after you?
No.
Oh, my dad did that for me.
Interesting.
Yeah, he had a star named after. Well, it was actually me and my siblings, but I lay claim to it because I'm the only one that still remembers we have a star out there. We have like a little map and everything that shows us.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have the map and all that. Yeah,
I think he has it somewhere. He got it for us when we were kids, when we were like all into astrology and whatnot. And now I'm an adult and I'm still into astrology.
It always seems like just a fake thing. I don't know.
It might have been. Yeah. I don't know. It might have been like the Scotland plots. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. So sad.
I always think of the episode of Seinfeld where George gives everyone the human fund donation cards as gifts. You ever seen that episode?
I don't watch a whole lot of Seinfeld.
Oh, that's what
I know.
But he tells it like he gets like a gift certificate from someone as a gift where it's like, a donation has been made in your name to yada yada yada, and he's like, why don't people just give the money for it? But then he decides what he does. He makes up a fake organization and just gives them as gifts. Like for your birthday, he would give you I'd give you like here's $20 has been made into your name to the human fund is what he called it.
Oh
and
my
it's
gosh.
a fake thing.
Oh my gosh.
That's the star plots and the Scottish plots and all that shit. That's what this reminds me of. I don't know.
Aw.
Just seems like some kind of scam.
Unless you're a real estate agent, don't be trying to sell land to somebody.
No.
Just don't. It ain't gonna work for you.
Yeah, that's such a. I don't know how people fall for that thing.
That one actually, that Scotland one did make me mad. I was like, that's because I almost got Ben one. After we did 23andMe, when we found out that he was part Irish and a little bit of... are you part... I'll ask him later. We won't do that on the pod. Anyway, neutrino are made in the hearts of stars and all that acceleration and reactors on Earth and whatnot. And I know briefly about reactors. I know that they are used to test particles, like actual like protons and neutrons, and to see how the atom is formed and whatnot. That's about all I know of accelerators and reactors. Don't ask me for the rest. That's all I know. So now there are about 1 billion times more neutrino than there are protons possibly in the world. 1 billion times more of this element that we might not even be able to get an actual quantifiable testing amount of, because it is so hard to get. And I mean, these are super hard to catch. They travel very, very fast and they're super, super small. So it introduces not only this element that we haven't had a whole lot of experience in using, it also is something that flows through our bodies as humans that could possibly, I don't know, because I don't know a whole lot about body mechanics and chemistry and whatnot. But I mean, if we're introducing a new element that goes through our bodies, I'm just saying something's there. Something's there. I don't know what's there, but something's there. Anyway, back to the anti-universe. So back to the anti-universe, this theory would imply that there is no need for a period of inflation that would expand the size of our universe after the Big Bang Theory. So there are three things and they call these the points of symmetries. There's the charge, which the electrical charges, which the protons and neutrons give off. This basically states that in the anti-universe, or in the state of symmetry, as I'm going to call it at this very moment, the charge, if you flip the charges of all the particles in an interaction to their opposites, you will still see the same interaction no matter what. So if you flip all of those charges to be positive, negative, and vice versa, you're still going to get that same interaction. The next one is pariety. And that's the mirror image of the interaction. The mirror image of the interaction still stays the same in pariety. And then the last one is time. The interaction runs backward in time, but still results in the same conclusion. This all together is how we get what is called the CPT symmetry, or the CPT mirror universe.
Okay.
I'm going to call it CPT symmetry because that's what's written down the most in my notes. So, so this is actually present in physical interactions to some degree of all symmetries, but at the very least in some sort of combo. So, and it's called CPT symmetry, by the way. So basically what can happen is you can have two CPT happen. So you can have two elements of CPT happen, like C and T, the charge and the time, and it would still be considered CPT symmetry. Same goes where if you had pariety and time, and it would still be considered CPT. They've never had one where all three have interacted with one another.
Okay.
And they've gotten a different end result than what they were planning on getting. So this has never happened where they've gotten a different result.
Interesting.
Oh, yes. So basically, if you were to take an interaction, if you were to take every interaction observed in nature, flip the charges, take a mirror image, and run it backwards in time, those interactions will still behave the exact same way as it would in our universe.
Wow.
How crazy!
That's that, and they're able to calculate that, like they're able to, like that as a conclusion they're able to come up with that they would not interact. So
there is less evidence on the CPT symmetry than there is on eternal inflation theory.
Okay.
I have an answer to your question. I'm just looking for it.
Organize your notes, Bailey.
Stop it! You let me do me and just run crazy. There's a lot of red yarn over
keep
here.
All my notes right in this little my little notebook, and they all say nice and organized.
Look at this.
I thumbed it. How do you use?
There's different page
Wow.
colors.
Yeah.
There's Post-its and tape and. One thing that was funny that Alexander Velikan did actually kind of call out Alan Guth on was that the Boston Globe did run a poll on who had the messiest office of the universities in Boston, and Alan Guth actually won.
Wow.
The messiest office. So I feel your pain there, Alan. I have the messiest notebook. It's fine. So yes, so there's less research in CPT than there is in eternal inflation in theory. But what we are able to conclude happens when we talk about the three neutrinos that are known. And those are the electron neutrino, the muon neutrino, and the TO neutrino, which there's actually evidence of TO neutrino being found in Antarctica, which we're going to talk about.
Oh,
we're going to talk about. So, and what they've concluded with this, and this is how they're able to tell that these things are able to run in symmetry, backward, mirrored, oppositely charged and all that way. This is how they're able to tell. Is that strangely, all of these neutrinos all spin left. They're left-handed, as they call them. And all other known particles have both a left and right-handed counterpart in varieties. So they either spin left or right, whereas these neutrino only spin to the left. So scientists actually still wonder about if there is in fact a right spinning neutrino, and if that right spinning neutrino actually exists within our own universe.
Okay.
Very exciting, because right-hander neutrinos would actually fit into our universe to obey the CPT symmetry. So that's huge. So if we apply the CPT symmetry, the charge, parity, and time, we will actually miss large amounts of what there actually is in the universe. So in order to preserve CPT, there must be a mirror universe to balance out our own. So there has to be an opposite counterpart to us in order for this to work. So all charges would have to be flipped, mirrors would also have to be flipped, and the time would run backwards. So together, our universe and our twin would both be able to obey CPT symmetry in a cohesive, wonderful form, and we'd be a beautiful, happy family. So our twin, our universal twin, we've actually never met because it exists behind our Big Bang Theory, aka the beginning of the cosmos, of our cosmos, I should say. So, and that's I go on about that one because it's like your end is literally our beginning, and that's just so philosophical. It's amazing. Someone's going to be really cute and, we should do CPT Valentine's Day cards. Is it too late? It's the 7th.
No, it's not too late.
We got 7 days, right?
Yeah.
This comes out the 7th.
But yes, possibly. It's a check.
I might not know what time we're in, guys. I'm Bailey from a parallel universe. I don't know what day it is. It's great. I don't know. Because it would be cute.
See. Yeah, this comes out on the 7th. Yeah, this does come out on the 7th.
I knew
so there's a week. You got a week
I have a whole week to get these out.
How to make those and put them out.
I just want a card that says I wouldn't be symmetrical without you, and then one universe spinning on the right side. One is our universe and the other is the anti-universe, and says I wouldn't be symmetrical without you. You can also
see what we can do.
I was thinking, can you do that with a ball sack too? But then I'm like, I think you could do anything as long as it's symmetrical. I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know. Anyway, in this theory, so in this CPT theory, inflation would have never occurred. So they're making all of these hypotheses and doing all of this research with the background knowledge that with this, inflation would have never have occurred. So the universe is becomes filled with particles on its own, naturally, all natural. I feel like that is kind of where you can bring God into the argument too, because then it's like, well, it all happened on its own. Well, then how did we get the trees? How did we get air? How did we get the land? How did we get all God?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, with CPT, you could probably make that argument and make it justifiably. Don't come for me on that one. Which, I mean, that's fine. Whatever floats your boat. So scientists do believe that inflation shook up things so much that it did cause a gravitational wave. And many are still on the hunt for these gravitational waves. I kind of mentioned this a little bit before about how we will search for these gravitational waves in order to prove which theory is correct. And not only which theory is correct, but also in what way are we being pulled to different galaxies as well. But in a CPT symmetry universe, there will be no primordial waves. There will be none of these waves that have existed since the beginning of time or since the beginning of our cosmos. So if no waves are ever found, gravitational waves that is, this would be a major nudge toward CPT being the correct hypothesis for parallel universes and what type of universe is out there.
Oh, okay.
So instead of there being multiple upon multiple universes where everything is always inflating and there's always different dimensions being made, we could just have one universe that just runs backward to our own, which is the most boring thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, make it spicy. So now we're going to talk about Mr. Peter Gorham. And this is the last story I have for all of you. And this is actual proof of a possible parallel universe.
Ooh, okay.
I'm excited about this. So they actually set this up. So they actually set this up in Antarctica. And the reason they went to Antarctica was because it's cold, it's still, and it's dry. So they were testing for these 4 different neutrinos. They were also testing to see if they could find different gravitational waves there. They were trying to find and trying to prove CPT symmetry. And what ended up happening was they brought this beautiful little instrument called ANITA, the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna. And this instrument is able to detect ultra high energy cosmic rays, neutrinos. And the experiment resulted in detecting not only neutrinos, but a particular set of energies. And these neutrinos are way more powerful than what we are able to produce on Earth, which was a fun little detail because it's so rare to find these that we're still, I'm going to say I'm a little unclear on it because it is one of those big brain topics, but it just, to me, it sounds like as a whole, we don't really, I don't want to say we don't understand, but there's just not a whole lot of research because of how rare it is to get one of these and to actually study it. They move so quickly, they're so small, and they're hard to find. So again, they did this in Antarctica where it would be really hard to point out any distortion of the findings. So how is this possible, they said? So low energy neutrinos can actually pass through our planet, but high energy neutrinos, like what we find in the hearts of stars, said to be coming down from space, are a lot harder to get through our gravitational pull, a lot harder to get through, our atmosphere is the word. But ANITA actually found the two neutrino waves. They're spelled TAU neutrino, which are a heavier particle, and they're said to be coming up from the Earth. So these are the particles that are not supposed to be passing through our atmosphere. We just found in Antarctica. How is this possible? And this happened all the way back in 2016. I don't know how this didn't make headlining news.
Right, yeah. So weird stuff happens in Antarctica.
So exactly. I swear, we're gonna find I almost said demon. We're gonna find it out there. We're gonna find the thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be something out there.
It's gonna be something. But it's crazy to me to think that, because that plays into, CPT theory on a really big level, because that not only did they find the actual element, which is, sort of child with, CPT symmetry. They found it in a place where it's not supposed to be. They found it in Antarctica where the evidence could not, it's very hard to distort that evidence. And it really makes me wonder if it's not one or the other theory, but both theories combined. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if we had, hear me out here. Hear me out. Stay on the journey with me. So if we had eternal inflation theory, it would mean that our universe is forever growing. But if we had CPT theory, it would not only mean that it's, along with that, it would not only mean that it's still growing, it would mean that it's growing, but in a backward rate. So who's to say that history and, the way that we are, kind of able to, what am I looking for here? And the particles that are being made are literally being changed because of CPT and because of internal inflation theory, because we were just able to find this. Because I think if they found it in 2016, and not a whole lot of people live up in Antarctica, let's be real.
Right. Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of, I don't think a polar bear put some neutrinos down there. I don't think he did it. So it would interest me a lot on if there were any scientific studies done in that same portion where they found the waves and the neutrinos, and be able to, see like if there was anything in the past that would have led to that sort of particle and that sort of energy or waves being found there, or if this is possible, has something to do with inflation theory, where it's growing and growing and growing, but CPT theory as well, where we're going backward and we're able to introduce these new elements or new particles, I should say.
Okay.
Did I lose you there?
No.
Okay. I'm like, that was a lot.
I'm here with you.
That was a lot. What's really funny, and this is my last little story, what's really funny about it is this discovery was actually an accident, and that might be why it didn't make headline news. So Peter and his team actually decided to revisit the site of these signals where they had written it off as just noise, which that's the whole point. You went to Antarctica, sir, is to like be able to like be like, no, there's no noise up here. Like there's nothing. There's like, that's the whole point. Like, of course you're going to go revisit that. So Gorham did suggest that the neutrinos may have changed before passing through the Earth, which was why it was able to get down to Antarctica. Because remember, I said that these things are not supposed to be on Earth. They're literally made in the hearts of stars. They're too heavy to get into our atmosphere. They'll disintegrate. It's not going to happen. So he hypothesized that the neutrinos may have changed before passing through the Earth. But he backed up and said not everyone was comfortable with that hypothesis. So, because I think what that introduces is that theory of maybe it's both. Maybe it is the internal inflation and the CPT symmetry. I really think it does point more to that. Now, I'm not a big brain, so I don't know.
Okay.
I really think it points more to that.
So what did he mean by people, like the people on his team weren't comfortable with that hypothesis? Is that what he was referring to?
So it only leaves off at the quote, but what my own theory is the people who were in charge of that team going out and collecting research, like the higher ups, were not comfortable with that. Because if the neutrino were changing as it was coming into Earth's atmosphere or changing before it passed, that would mean that particular particle, first of all, is not only able to change, it's able to change, it's able to pass through the Earth. But now it's done something so smart within itself that it has figured out how to get into our atmosphere while still surviving.
Okay.
So
interesting. So
there's a lot. There's a lot you can do there. I still point mostly to internal inflation and CPT probably being correct. I think that is the most correct one. I do. I'm biased though, so I don't know. So, and while you would think that with neutrino being so rare and so insanely hard to catch and all this stuff, you would think that this would be a very rare occurrence. Nay, as Baylessarian would say. The team has actually witnessed this several times. Or had witnessed this several times.
So it wasn't just some isolated little fluke. It was something they're regularly seeing down there.
This was something they were able to document and able to pattern out, and they had probability. They had probability. What do they always say? We need probability. We have probability. So now, and they did close out with, now, Anita could have always been making an error, and another error, and another error, and another error, and so on and so forth. However, I find that so incredibly hard to believe. Is it possible? Absolutely. Things fuck up all the time. But to make it that many times on something so specific is mind-boggling to me. Twice you maybe have a fluke up. After 3 or 4 times, okay. Now we've got something serious here. So that's what I got on that. On the parallel universes. My brain hurts.
A lot of interesting stuff there. That was a really good one.
Thank you.
A lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff in there.
This gave me such a route to just let my mind just free flow and just kind of get lost in. Because, there's a lot when it comes to parallel universes or, our twin universe or mirrors or anything like that, at the end of the day, in my humble opinion, we're just playing a guessing game because we haven't been able to find actual proof of a parallel or mirrored universe. Like, we've gotten elements of proof, but we've never actually seen a double of one of ourselves or anything like that. Maybe that's what a doppelganger is. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe like the people who have seen their doppelganger. Oh, the Encounters episode is going to be so much fun.
Oh, that's very interesting. Doppelgangers.
I'm so excited. But what if that is a thing? Like, what if when you meet your doppelganger, that's you meeting yourself in a parallel universe? Or what if that's
now I've said many times, I do not believe in ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
But what if ghosts were like parallel universe like entities? Now that I can get behind. I can get behind that. That excites me.
It makes it cooler that way.
Yeah. Ghosts bore me, but the idea of parallel universe entities that adds a little more meat on the bone for me.
Yeah, I think. Don't come for me for this one. Don't come for me, but I think a lot of religion plays with like the aspect of dimensions and parallel universes as well. Because think about it, you're talking about heaven and hell. You're talking about two places that are so drastically different from the world that we live in. And while it might not be parallel to our own, it's definitely a form of the world that we live in, especially the way that it is talked about in the way that it is written about. So I have quite a lot of questions there.
Okay.
Don't come for me.
I can get behind that.
Like, don't come for me. I just have questions, okay? I just want to know.
We question everything. Hashtag question everything.
Hashtag question everything.
But yeah, I think that's very interesting. I can get behind that idea. A lot of cool stuff. A lot of different little thought experiments you can do with parallel universes.
Oh, I love it. Nothing is too crazy. Nothing.
Nothing is too crazy. But yeah, that was good. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, thank you.
That was a lot of big brain talk. So
I'm tired.
I feel like maybe I am a little smarter for having listened to it, even though I don't understand much of it. But at least I have some new words to add to my vocabulary.
Yes, that's kind of how I felt at the end of this. So a lot of the time when I'm researching like these big brain things, I will have my research tabs up, and then I will have like a Google dictionary definition up as well, and I will just start copy and pasting words and figure out the definitions too. Honestly, like if you did that in like big brain papers that you did, you're going to expand your vocabulary tremendously. A little tip for today. However, I love this topic. I am so excited for Encounters because the Encounters aspect is actually what inspired me to do this entire thing. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about this guy. I'm very excited about it. Started happening in 2020. This guy might be in a different dimension. I don't know. We're going to talk about it. Okay. I'm very excited.
I'm excited. I'm excited. A little tease for what's to come.
I
here on Cult of Conspiracy here in about a month.
Yes,
that episode will drop. If you guys want to know, that episode will come out on March 7th. So you got a whole month. You got a month to get ready for Multiverse Encounters, or what are we calling it? Multiverse? Parallel? What do we call it?
I think we're just calling it Encounters. I think we're just calling it Multiverse Encounters.
Multiverse. Okay. All right. Cool.
That's what I want to call it. That's what we're calling it. Okay. Multiverse.
But next, in 2 weeks, on the 21st, I will be presenting, and I am doing one I'm very proud of. Actually, I wrote this. I finished it the other day, and I kind of went back and reread it, and I'm very proud of the work I did on this. And it's called "Who is Richard Shaver?"
Oh,
that's the question I'm posing. Who is Richard Shaver? And I'm very proud of this one. I can't wait to present this one. So that is what I'm going to be doing for file 013 episode. File 013.
Lucky number 13. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited for this one. Really excited for this one. But Bailey, parallel universes. This one was awesome. I like this a lot.
Thank you.
Very well done.
It was a lot. I had to learn a lot of new words.
It was very interesting.
I'm excited to find out who Richard Shaver is here in a couple weeks. I have all kinds of questions. I do.
Well, like I said, I'm very proud of this one.
I'm super excited.
I finished writing it and I reread it just to double check things, and I feel very, very happy with this one. So I can't wait to present it. But that's coming up here on the 21st. But yeah, I think that does it for Cult Talk Conspiracy this week.
Yeah.
File 012, Parallel Universes. Bailey knocked it out of the park. So very, very interesting. I think that does it. Make sure you guys follow us on all of our social medias at Cult Talk Net. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the things. You can find us on there. And of course, you'll find all the information for all the Cult Talk Net podcasts. Cult of Campbell comes out on Mondays. Cult of Lore comes out every other Thursday.
Or Friday.
Cult Talk Conspiracy or Friday, depending on how the week goes. And of course, Cult Talk Conspiracy comes out here every other Tuesday. And we're happy you guys joined us here in our official second year of podcasting here on Cult Talk Conspiracy. And we got a lot of cool things in store for the coming months. So make sure you guys stay tuned. But I think that does it. Until next time, I've been Ty.
I've been Bailey.
Question everything.